little something that I've never noticed before. The ember particles that float up from your armor change when you open the big door here. Fly towards the back of the room from the wind coming in. Small detail, but I found it interesting. Alright, let's check out this view. So we got the Fair and Keep between the high wall and Undead Settlement. Then off in the distance, we have An Orlando there. Up here we have Archdragon Peak. And then let's see if we can track where we're about to go. So we land there, go through the Undead Settlement. The big building in the back is where we fight the Curse-Rotted Greatwood. Then there's the Giant's Tower. We go down the elevator, come out the door, go around to the Road of Sacrifices. And then that's the building where we fight Crystal Sage. Then out to the Cathedral of the Deep. Or over to Fair and Keep. Very cool that you can see everything you're about to go to from right here. So I know that the Undead Settlement is technically an optional area, but it might be my favorite area in the game. I'm going to try to explore that, see if it's true over the course of this video. You're getting a little post-commentary analysis today, and I will tell you why shortly. So here we get our first glimpse of how the basic hollows are treated by the working class hollows in this area. And there's a few more interesting interactions we can get optionally later that all are a very good example of one of the things I love so much about this area, which is just the dense amount of environmental storytelling, even for someone who doesn't really care to try to connect everything lore-wise. There's just so much that your imagination can run wild with, and I'm sure we'll explore some of that as we go on too. I'm just noticing here that these carriages are a lot like the carriages in Boletaria and Demon Souls that have the dogs in them. There's a high level of suckage that happens right here. I currently have 0 health. Just trying to get to the bonfire. And right here, I swear my guy looks at me in just complete disappointment. Right there, my character is saying, bro, you have 400 hours in this game and you're that trash. How is that possible? Okay, right here, as I'm peeping my giant friend, I decided to do something completely unnecessary, which is run across the entire map just to get a weapon, to then go back to the beginning and use the whole time. But I think it was a good decision. I slapped a raw gem on this great scythe and a fire gem on the rapier. And it was this point right here that led me to do post-commentary, because I said, alright, I'm abandoning any plans I had. Just the change in weapon and the change in fashion souls created this vibe. I just wanted to slowly walk through the entire area and try to do it all in one pass without dying. That was my mission. Do the area without a single death. And so I embarked on that journey and said, I'm going to let commentary take a back seat. And buddy, did I. Because I don't think I said anything for like 30 minutes. Until, spoiler alert, my mission failed and I died. And I'll let you guess which enemy killed me, because out of this entire area, one enemy killed me, and that enemy killed me 3 times. And it's not the enemy that I thought it would be. These guys are called thralls, and I like them. They have a really interesting and erratic moveset that makes me respect them. Never sure that one of them's not gonna kill me. And out here we have our first glimpse at the Evangelist. Super interesting character. The way they look kind of reminds me of the fat officials from Demon Souls. But their role in this area is really fun to think about. They're also fun to fight. Even though I'd not gotten in a proper fight yet, I was feeling myself right here. I was feeling like I am become death, destroyer of the Undead Settlement. I was feeling like the Grim Reaper. It was fun, man. I had fun. I had a good time playing through this area. I always do, though. And then I think I have a pretty sloppy fight against this first Evangelist and get humbled quickly. But this area right here, this set piece, where you come upon her kneeling and praying or whatever she's doing, and the other hollow peasants or workers around her, the layers of environmental storytelling become very apparent. So you have the stark contrast, first of all, from the high wall of Lothric, of this village or shanty town, or these poorly built huts. They're all leaning and, look like they're falling in. And you have this class system that's evident from the start of the evangelists at the top, and then these peasants or hollow workers who are working alongside them, it seems. And then you have the passive hollows who are being abused and tortured and killed in a variety of horrific ways. In this first little set piece here, you have this bonfire, this pyre, and all these dead bodies around everywhere. And then that continues through the entire level. So you immediately get this very dark, religious, or cultic vibe, which I'm a sucker for, first off. And there's a direct connection between the things in this level to the Cathedral of the Deep. But I guess that area is a little more overtly religious, because of course it is a giant cathedral, so you kind of expect it. But there's something about this area being below the high wall, both in geography but also in class and wealth, that you can start kind of painting a picture of the history and think about what went wrong. And then the fact that you're introduced to this dark religious concept that can then be tied through really the rest of the game from this point. I just find it maybe the most intriguing area of the whole game. Here's one of the first examples of how I like to use throwing knives. I like to use them for finishers when an enemy has just a little bit of health, but I also like to use them when an enemy backs off. Instead of chasing, I like to chunk out a few throwing knives, try to whittle down some health until they come back. Okay, I have more thoughts on what's going on in this area, story-wise, but I'm going to pause on that and talk about another aspect that I really like of this area, and that's the level design. Now, I'm not the only person who thinks that Dark Souls 3 is not quite on the level of Dark Souls 1. It might not even be on the level of Bloodborne, but I do think Bloodborne is the closest comparison you could make as far as level design. But there are a few very good ones, and I think this is definitely one of them. I like how this area tricks you, and I'm saying that in a positive way. It tricks you into feeling like it's such an open area with so much to explore the first time you go through it. And all of the vistas and places that you can see different parts of the area are very rewarding when you look out and you see areas that you can clearly go to and then you make it over to them. I love that. I love that about this game in general. But the Undead Settlement does a great job, in my opinion, of balancing regions of the area that seem huge and open to exploration with more traditional, claustrophobic feeling, tight spaces that connect the different areas. It all kind of winds around in like a figure eight type of deal. And it's actually really compact and small, and you can run through it really quickly once you know how it's laid out. But on that first pass, it feels just so huge. And I appreciate the way that they achieved that and also set it up in a way where you can see so much of the area from different points in anticipation of getting over there. It's brilliant, man. From Software. They're just the best. That's all there is to it. Okay, these guys are called Hollow Man Servants, and I'm trying to plot how I'm going to deal with him here. Kind of screwed it up, but then executed it after all. And I didn't use that combo enough, but the left-hand rapier into the R1 of the side was actually really nice. I should have used it more. I'm taking time to look at this guy, see if there's anything that I'd ever missed about him. Decide to leave him alone. Then I had intrusive thoughts, thinking, I've never kicked that guy off. I want to do it. And then I proceed to completely screw up my kick input. And he just gets killed mercilessly. The Partisan is actually a pretty interesting weapon. Has the spin bash weapon art like a lot of hammers do. And it's a spear that has an R2 swipe attack. It's pretty fun for a spear. I'm not a huge fan of the spear class, but that's an underrated one. There's a couple cuts in this area because I was playing around with that interaction that I was talking about at the beginning that you can do optionally, which is in areas like this, you can kick the hollows down and the workers and dogs and evangelists will just attack them relentlessly. And it's highly entertaining to me, but there's nothing around right there to actually attack them, so I think I end up doing it later. But that does bring us back to what's going on here, especially with the evangelists. And there's a few different angles that you can take with it. One is that it seems to be a napping ground to take people who are living in the undead settlement to the cathedral by way of the aptly named Road of Sacrifices, to be sacrificed to Aldrich in the cathedral, who was a cannibal and was eating hella people and growing into this fat blob of goo. So that seems to be going on here. But then there's a different angle you can take where it seems that the evangelists were attempting to purify the curse that was happening to hollows that you can see in Lothric in the Pus of Man, which I guess is the curse of the dark soul of humanity, going all the way back to Dark Souls 1 and the Furtive Pygmy and Manus. The Pus of Man enemies are not unlike Manus in the way that his arm stretches out and is all writhing. They're kind of like that. And they're also weak to fire, and the evangelists do that fire grab and say, cleanse the bastard's curse. So it seems likely that the evangelists were also trying to cleanse that curse that was turning passive hollows into the Pus of Man. And then maybe the next evolution of that was the pilgrim butterflies that we see in the Dragon Slayer armor fight. So there seems to be a couple different possibilities for the role of the evangelist. Don't know what's true. I don't really care. It's all interesting to me. But they're definitely one of my favorite enemies in the game, just because of how freaking creepy they are. But at the same time, they're kind of comical. But mostly just terrifying and sinister when you realize that they're responsible for most, if not all, of the terrible depictions of torture and death all over the undead settlement. Now let's pivot to Holy Knight Hodrick trying to intimidate me here. At this point, I had zero confidence that I was going to come out of this alive. And then right here it started rising just a little bit. I started thinking, I can cheese my way through this. And back to zero. I'm in full panic mode right here. And just as a reminder, once I said to myself that I was going to go through this area without dying, my actual thought is, I'm going to play this game like my life depends on it right now. And so I was very, very serious about not dying right here. But I have no more heals. I have almost no health. And I was having a damn good time. Now, one thing I'm always trying to get out of these games is just like a survival feel. I love kind of limiting myself and using everything at my disposal to try to overcome the challenge, You kind of have to make stuff up after you've played the games 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 15 times, whatever. So, right here, I probably should have been going for backstabs with him, but I think I was just in this spacing duel kind of mindset, and I was going to take it slow and steady. use his warmth spells, use my chime, get up enough health to take one hit, just outlast him any way I possibly could. I thought a couple times right here about going for a parry. I knew that would be badass if I could pull it off, but I wasn't sure if any of his attacks were unparryable. So I was just too scared. Hodrick, however, had no such fear. Yeah, I was pretty stoked that I made it through that one, not gonna lie. Was feeling pretty good about making it through the entire area with no deaths after that. I like taking this route backwards, back to the start of the level. And also this is a nice little farming run right here to get two of the cooler great hammers in the game. The great wooden hammer, which you can get from this guy. This is a short hammer, but requires much less stamina than most great hammers and less strength. And then of course you can get the spiked mace from the evangelist. And both have the spin bash weapon art, which I like on hammers. Nice little knife finisher there. These enemies are called cage spiders, and are just another example of some of the brutal stuff that's been happening to hollows in this area. The throwing knives really are just like too good almost. I mean, I think as far as just while navigating a level, not talking about bosses, I think they are equally as useful and far more efficient than trying to use spells in the early game. Not sure how useful this is, but a little tip in case you didn't know, you can quit game and come back in and reuse the Estus soups multiple times without resting at a bonfire. And right here, I make a decision that leads to my eventual downfall. Instead of just running into the cemetery and grabbing the ashes, going back, getting the key, and then going in the underground area over to the Giant's Tower, I decide I'm gonna do the intended thing and go talk to the giant first. Hey, what are you doing? It seems I have company. My daughter has decided she wants in on this. Yeah, hey, come here. I want to ask you a question. You know, on the game where we catch monsters?
Yeah.
What do you say when we hit the monsters with a stick?
Take a nap. Take a nap, Master.
Yeah, take a nap, monster. That's what you say. What's your who's your favorite person to see on these games where we catch monsters?
Ho ho a hammer.
Ho ho with the hammer? Yeah, what does he do?
Hammer.
He just hammers. What does it sound like when he does it?
Ding. Ding.
What about the game with the horse? Do you like riding the horse?
Yeah.
What do you call the monsters that ride the horses?
Mister.
Big misters, yeah.
Mister.
Big misters, no idea why. Alright, Anything else you want to say?
Yes. Check.
Check. What else? Okay, I'll save the rest of her performance for the end. But I did not plan to do this at this point. And multiple times, even just watching my character now, I could tell that I was torn, and I kept saying, no, I'm not going to do it. And then I'd be like, I'll just knock it out now. And then I'd say, no, it's a bad idea. And then I went. I find this bit right here hilarious because I don't do any controller throwing or cussing after I die, but that right there, me smashing up those boxes and barrels, that was me being genuinely upset that I had died in Dark Souls. Now my mojo's off. I'm getting punked by everything. I feel like I failed my mission, so I'm ready to speed things up at this point. Wrap this area up. But then I forgot I was upset because Dark Souls is a good time. I stopped here because I had a thought that I'd never had before. I ran by and I said, oh yeah, these are those serpent people that are in Archdragon Peak. But then I was like, wait, no, those are pilgrims. And I never thought before how similar those two enemy types are. So I go by the grave key, and then I take whatever's left of my frustration out on this hollow by kicking him onto a dog, which I was really proud of. Then I punched his buddy off just for the hell of it. Then I go pick up the best armor piece of the game, and realize that Ranni from Elden Ring looks a lot like the Velka statues, at least from DS3. I don't remember what she looks like in DS1. Kill this guy that likes to come off the top rope on you. I'm heading back. I get my bow ready because I want to shoot down this shield that's hanging up here. And then I see this chick who has apparently been a bad girl because she's put herself in timeout in this corner over here. And so I have to deal with that. And now I gotta go see one more bad girl.
Don't touch me. Ah, yes. Thank you, sweet champion.
A couple of my favorite voice actors here. The voice actor that does Irina also does Lucatil in Dark Souls 2. And the same voice actor does Aegon and the caged madman that you can talk to earlier in the level.
Another one of those unkindled, are you? I'm Egon, a knight of Karim. I am allied to you for as long as you assure the girl's safety. And only for that long.
Intrusive thoughts get me again right here. And I started thinking, I think I would like to have his armor sooner rather than later.
What is it now?
But dude is even tougher than I realized he was. So I go down to try to finish the job I've started now, knowing probably not going to go well for me. And he's not even aggroed. I've never had this happen before. I've knocked him down here before, killed him,
Then I'll take it.
quit game, started over, picked up his stuff, but
Times is it?
never knocked him down. Not only not killed him, but not even aggroed him. I thought that was wild. If you've never used it before, anything with the neck swipe weapon art, which I'm using there, is really wonky. It's supposed to be an automatic stagger critical if you hit them in the head with it, but it's extremely hard to land unless you lock off and look away from them. And even then, when you do land it, it doesn't seem to be that effective. It did help me knock him down here, but I mean, we see where that got me. Overall, not that cool of a weapon art. I did enjoy the weapon overall though. It's not quite DS1 Great Scythe, but it's got a good balance of damage, range, and speed. And a pretty interesting moveset. I didn't showcase the backstep moves enough, but they're very quick and useful.
Deluded, hollow bastard.
I won't use either one of those, but I can buy his armor now from the Handmaiden, which is what I wanted. And now I'm back for vengeance to the demon. No way he's gonna kill me again. He screwed up my run, and I'm going to make him pay. Demon Death, number 2. Take my rage out on these guys again. And this son of a bitch, look at this. He really is just trolling me at this point. Fire Demon Death, number 3. Sigurd's doing his best, man. I gotta get gooder.
Long may the sun shine.
So I nope around these ladies, and I'm ready for the Curse Rod and Greatwood at this point. Just need to jump down to grab the Chloranthy ring, my girl Lucatil's armor, and then pop back to Firelink to do a little housekeeping before I take it home.
I might as well fetch some weapons or treasure for you. Well, what do you say? Thank you. You will not be disappointed.
What would you like to say? Oh, what song would you like to sing?
Three, two, one, you are.
That was beautiful. So I don't think the Curse Shot of Greatwood is anyone's favorite Dark Souls 3 boss. But like I said in a previous video, even the lower tier bosses in this game I think are still pretty fun. I really don't mind this guy. And the lore is kinda neat, with the people of the Undead Settlement feeding him cursed items that turned the Great Wood into the cursed rotted Great Wood. Maybe further spreading the curse and causing the hollows that you see that are kind of turning into the tree-like structures around the settlement. I don't know. It's all kinda neat. Right? He's not bad. Not my favorite, but not bad. Do one more. Sing Bob Marley.
No, Molly. Ma, I'm paid. Happy. That song was happy. Let me know what? Ma, wait. Ma, I'm paid. Happy. What? Ma. Molly.
Beautiful. Very beautiful. Alright, next video is going to focus on actually getting the loadout that I want to use for the next little chunk of the game. So, after another Fashion Souls change, I'm ready to go. See you next time.